Hello everybody, and welcome to my second video in my SCP-001 Proposals Explained. Once again, man, I'm so happy to finally get this video out to you. Today I'm going to be going over the next two sections of proposals. My original plan was to split each video up section by section, but the next two sections are so short that I'm just going to combine them into this video. Who cares? And with that being said, we're going to jump right into the video. If you are new and you don't know what SCP-001 proposals are, I highly recommend going to go watch my first video on this subject. There I explain what they are and I break down, I think it's the first section. Yeah, just the first section of proposals. The seventh SCP-001 proposal is Dr. Mackenzie's The Legacy. Codename, Dr. Mackenzie. The Legacy. Item number, SCP-001. Object Class, Euclid. The Legacy describes 3 items that were left behind by the Foundation's infamous administrator. It's not known exactly who or what the administrator is. In most, if not all, SCP canons, the administrator is a figure of incredible power and intrigue. They're usually not a member of the O5 Council, at least I've never seen them be. They could vary from being just a mere mortal to some divine god entity being like thing. At the beginning of the report, we only get information on the third item, SCP-001-03. SCP-001-3 through 35, which I'm just going to be referring to as the journal from now on, because I'm not saying that every single time. This journal belonged to the late administrator. Many excerpts from the journal can be seen within the report of the Legacy. Not going to read out every single excerpt, right? But I am going to give you some information from each so you can understand what's going on here. In the excerpt of page 3, the administrator talks about getting funding from the government in order to establish his organization. They also mention that President insist on them turning the device over for safekeeping. At the beginning of the report, we only get information on the third item, SCP-001-3-35, because the other 2 items are redacted. But spoiler alert, after reading a little bit further into the report, we do indeed get information on these other 2 items. I've seen Frederick Williams, this guy, pop up a lot as the administrator. As the case for everything else in the SCP Foundation, it's up to you to decide. So we get 2 main things from this excerpt: the mention of an organization and the mention of a device. Administrator, organization. I think you get the idea of where this is going. The next article we get is from page 7. The administrator describes how progress has been slow these last decades, and that I'm just going to refer to him as he. We don't get a gender, but considering that Frederick Williams is the one who is most of the time the administrator in most canons, I'm just so used to saying he now, so I'm just going to call him a he. He is adamant that they cannot produce the same technology until they have found a solution. Alright. So this implies a couple of things. The first, whatever the administrator is working on is taking decades. It's taking him a while to accomplish. And second, whatever the administrator's problem is with this technology, he is insistent on not reproducing the same technology in an attempt to try to fix it. We don't know what it is yet, but we will soon. In the excerpt from page 9, the administrator states that he had to kill them, all of them. They had been reproducing that technology behind the administrator's back while the administrator was trying to hide them from it. Okay, so this organization that the administrator created and collected funding for had been secretly creating this technology that he was adamant on not creating right underneath his nose. He did not want him or the organization that he formed to create this technology that he's talking about, but they ended up doing it right underneath his nose, and he had to kill them all for it. He's now skipping town and leaving to go somewhere else. The next article is an excerpt from page 15 of the journal. And in all honesty, it doesn't include any important information that you need to know. But the administrator does say that he can no longer afford to let them know the truth. So Like everything else so far, incredibly vague, but I think he might be talking about the technology still. I think he's still on about the technology, but I don't know what that means. But I did want to mention it. The following articles are not that important, pretty similar to the previous article. Just some details, so we'll skip over most of them for right now. The next article that I want to talk about is from page 64 of the journal. Here, the administrator says that he remembered what they said before he left. They said that he probably wouldn't see anything, that he would fall asleep and wake up, but they lied. He saw everything. He saw as they were consumed by madness, only to be replaced as if nothing happened. It's just so cryptic. The administrator has clearly seen something, been through something. He has seen people get consumed by madness, only for them to be replaced just like nothing happened. So, what exactly is going on here? Well, we finally get some answers on the administrator's very last page of his journal. Up to this point, if you haven't noticed, it's been incredibly vague. We haven't had any real details to let us know what's going on here, other than the fact that the administrator is adamant on not reproducing technology that he has produced in the past for a problem that he has. Well, from this page, we find out that the administrator is not from this world. He is a traveler from a parallel plane of existence, an alternate reality, an alien. I knew we were going to get one soon. I knew it. I don't think we got one yet. So what is this, the 7th one? So 7th, we're only 7 deep, we got an alien. Hell yeah, let's get it. Anytime I hear the mention of aliens, the first thing that pops into my head is that Joe Rogan clip. Where the alien just appears. We learned that mankind from his world grew incredibly advanced. They harnessed the power of entire stars, molded planets and moons to suit their needs. They even learned to manipulate the fabric of reality itself, and conquer death through medicine and technology. However, they realized much too late that all such things have a cost, and that their greed would not only result in the loss of everything that they hold dear, but the doom of countless others as well. You see, their meddling in the structure of existence created these cracks, these twists in the fabric of reality. And these cracks and twists resulted in the corruption of the multiverse. And by the time they noticed this corruption, it was already too late. It began to spread across their universe and just consume everything in its path. So, before the corruption could consume the administrator and his people, they decide to come up with one last failsafe. They are going to gather all of the knowledge that they could and sacrifice their universe by sending one individual over to the next universe. This could not repair the damage that they already caused, but might be able to buy the next universe some time to try to prevent this from happening to them. And that single individual that got sent over to that next universe is the administrator. He then says if you have not already found evidence of corruption in your universe, then it will soon start to bleed over. And this corruption is things that defy your understanding. Fixed loops and structures without any meaning or rhyme. Things that cannot be destroyed by any means you currently possess. Things that drive men to madness and challenge all assumptions that you hold dear. Things like SCPs. He then says what he carries with him is the legacy of countless worlds. The equations and technologies described in his pages carry with them the hope of stopping this corruption. They are the bloody trials of universes that have sacrificed and been sacrificed. So, as it turns out, the administrator is actually from a parallel universe, one that is incredibly technologically advanced compared to ours. But their universe was destroyed by some anomalous corruption that they were not aware of until it was too late. And this technology that was present in the administrator's original universe is most likely the technology that he is adamant on not reproducing in other universes. This is probably because that technology brought on the corruption. So it seems like the administrator has been seemingly jumping universe to universe, trying to find a solution to this corruption. But whenever that universe that he's currently working in gets a little bit too technologically advanced, he jumps ship. and restarts with the Foundation in another universe. And remember how I mentioned earlier that there are 2 other items that make up the legacy, SCP-001-1 and SCP-001-2? Well, these items are actually from the Administrator's original universe, the one that started the corruption. SCP-001-01 is a small rectangular gray device equipped with a small digital display and a keyed activation switch. SCP-001-02 is just a small key that I presume activates SCP-001-01, the device. But the Foundation has never activated the device that we know of to test this. Dude, those cinnamon waffles that come in like the little 4 square, they are so good. They are unbelievably good. SCP-001-01, the device, is capable of displaying 2 things. The first indicator appears to be a status or progress bar to something with an accompanying with a percentage next to it that says 23%. And the other indicator is a single-digit counter displaying a redacted number. The first indicator is the percentage of corruption that is currently in the universe that the device is in. And I think the second indicator is the amount of times that the device has been activated. So it does say a single-digit counter, so I think maybe that means the Administrator didn't jump too many universes before he ended up dying. I don't really know. Like I said, the Foundation has never tested it. They've never actually activated the device, so they don't know either. So this would mean that the current amount of corruption that is in the SCP universe right now is 23%. And we have sea creatures that are 4,970 miles long, and reptiles that we cannot kill no matter what. Nukes included, of course, right? It's the Foundation we're talking about. We have all of these insane anomalies, SCPs, and this isn't even a quarter of what this corruption can do, and that is terrifying to think about. And to make a bad situation worse, we have no idea where the Administrator is at, right? The Administrator either died or jumped ship a long time ago. But this would mean that he left all of his super secret corruption measuring devices and stuff like that. Maybe that technology isn't advanced enough to bring on corruption, so whenever he just goes to another universe, he makes a new one every so often, and he just decides to leave this one here for this time around. I don't know. Who really knows at this point? But one thing is for certain, the canon that which the legacy is in probably is screwed. Their whole multiverse is probably getting consumed by corruption right now. So, and I think that's the perfect way to transition into the 8th SCP-001 proposal, S. Andrew Swan's The Database. Codename S. Andrew Swan, The Database. Item number SCP-001. Object class Keter. The database does not describe some god or monster or event. Well, I guess not a god to us, probably a god to the people in the universe of the SCP Foundation. It's more of an idea, a thought. A thought so reality warping, so dangerous that even writing it down could cause the end of the world. And it is confusing as hell, too. The database refers to a series of humanoid entities that affect all known reality through their writings. And these humanoids are known as the SCP Foundation authors and readers. So, just in case you didn't understand, because I didn't understand my first read, too, the SCP Foundation is aware that their universe is affected by authors and readers that transcend their universe. And these authors and readers are us. The SCP Foundation knows about us. So everyone who is watching this video right now, everyone who is reading reports on the wiki, they know about us. They know us. They know who we are. They can't do nothing about us, but they know about us. The Foundation calls our reality the Alpha Layer. And they are aware that all of the readers and writers of the Alpha Layer have the ability to affect their universe through manipulating the Foundation's narrative in some way. And due to each reader and writer having their own headcanon, the Foundation narrative is often split up in several separate yet connected realities. This is why there are so many different canons within the SCP universe, because every reader and writer has their own headcanon. It's kind of like an SCP that explains why things don't make sense in the SCP universe. Deep within the report, we can find a strange message. This person isn't just writing a file, they're speaking directly to us as we read it. They say, SCP-001 is why we have to deal with omnicidal reptiles, ever-expanding rooms, extra-dimensional pools of red goop, and consumer products that don't obey the normal laws of physics. In other words, all the insane, deadly, reality-breaking anomalies that the Foundation contain all exist because of SCP-001, because of us. And while most researchers believe that these SCPs are all random and contradictory, and there's no possible pattern to explain them all, they're wrong. The writer then goes on to say there's a reason why cross-referencing within the Foundation is so looked down upon. The O5 Council doesn't want anyone looking at too many SCPs at one time. This is because the O5 Council tried to develop a grand unified theory to explain everything, all of the timeline breaks, all of the inconsistencies in history and lore. But what they found was so horrifying that they had to bury it forever. They tried to come up with this grand unified theory at Site-001 Alpha, which has now been completely dismantled and erased from Foundation records. Whatever they discovered at Site-001 Alpha, they didn't want anyone else to know about it. And this writer claims that he was a data analyst at Site-001 Alpha before all of this even happened. And while there, they uncovered a lot. They say they don't know much about the software internals that the Foundation uses to keep track of all of these anomalous objects, but they do know one thing. Part of it operates outside what we consider to be the real world. They say the Foundation and our entire universe exist in a constant state of shifting realities. SCP files appear and randomly disappear in the Foundation's database. And when that happens, the anomalies themselves vanish or reappear too. But this isn't just SCPs, this is entire Foundation sites. People, decades worth of history just wiped out. Reality literally rewrites itself based on the changes to the database. For example, let's say I go into the database and I change something on SCP-682, the omnicidal reptile. Let's say I put he farts rainbows. Just he farts rainbows. I don't know. Everybody's going to go from he doesn't fart rainbows to oh, he farts rainbows. He always farted rainbows. What are you talking about? It's not weird. It is kind of weird that he farts rainbows, but he's always farted rainbows. It's not like this is new. And that's kind of what's happening here. Any change made to the database, no matter how stupid, rewrites history itself. Now everyone knows that the omnicidal reptile farts rainbows. I hope y'all understand this, man. I even pulled out the old fart rainbow example. I hope y'all get it. It's like the Foundation's records don't describe reality or what happened. They create it. And the Foundation's records are not controlled by the Foundation. They're controlled by something else. And that something else is what this man claims to be. A bunch of horror writers. An accurate but funny way of putting things. In summary, the database is an SCP to address us, the readers and writers. The people who are constantly changing and shifting things in their universe, manipulating their universe. A little confusing, especially the report itself. It took me a little while to understand what's going on here. I like it. Pretty freaking cool. Little too meta for me. Not really my cup of tea. And with that being said, let's move into a proposal that is indeed my cup of tea. The 9th SCP-001 proposal, Scantron's The Foundation. Codename, Scantron, The Foundation. UIU File 0041. Altered High School Building in Confirmed Anomaly 3. Object Class 53. Highly intrusive, unknown capabilities, unknown nature. Alright, so this next 001 proposal isn't actually an SCP report at all. Instead, it's a UIU report. Basically, it's the FBI's attempt to explain what they believe to be the Foundation's origins. If you're wondering what the hell the UIU is, I had to look it up too. Don't worry. The UIU stands for Unusual Incidents Unit. Think of them as a bootleg foundation run by the FBI. They were formed during the Cold War to stop the communists from messing around with what they called at the time magic. They were probably just fooling with anomalous objects. But here's the thing, they kind of suck eggs, okay? Out of all the groups in the SCP universe, the Chaos Insurgency, the Church of the Broken God, even the Serpent's Hand, the UIU is not winning, like, at all. They're widely seen as one of the least effective organizations in SCP lore. But even though they're underfunded and outmatched, they may have stumbled across one of the biggest mysteries in the SCP Foundation's history. And unfortunately, during the editing of this video, I lost all the clips somehow. Don't ask me how. I don't know. So now we have to go back and record the rest of the clip. So yeah, if the background looks a little different compared to the rest of the video, that's why. So sometime in 1964, the UIU were alerted to what they call a confirmed anomaly, a CA for short, which is basically their version of an SCP. This CA was a high school that completely changed overnight. The architecture of the school completely changed, with the walls not only now being in different places in the building, but them also being steel reinforced concrete instead of just normal drywall. Every window in the school is now sealed from the inside and doesn't allow anybody looking in to be able to see inside of the building. All of the typical items that you would expect to find inside of a high school are all gone. Personal items, desks, belongings, backpacks, just gone. The lockers are still there. They're still there, but they shrunk down in size, and they're also made out of stainless steel now. And oddly, 17 electronic computers, all equipped with state-of-the-art magnetic core RAM, just appeared within the school. This is 1964. Computers in high schools were unheard of, especially just like a normal suburban high school, you know? And to top it all off, there is now an enormous steel wall blocking the school's auditorium. So the UIU sends this team into the building to scout it out, see what's going on, CA3-05, and they go in and they don't come out. And upon seeing this, the UIU decides to send another team into the building when the first team doesn't come out. And you know, these guys are called CA3-06. They sound better, you know, they sound like they're just like a more elite version of CA3-05. I think maybe, just maybe, you know, they might be able to go in there and actually... Yeah, no, they go in and manage to. Roughly 23 days later, white noise can be heard coming from the school's building, with the noise getting louder as you get closer to the auditorium. This white noise continued for 5 hours, and only after 5 hours did the white noise finally stop and be replaced with voices. During this whole white noise fiasco, the entire architecture of the school changed once again, and now the school contains a large amount of people, all of whom are wandering around the school aimlessly. And when one of the UIU agents were able to get contact on one of the individuals that were walking around the school aimlessly, they found something bone-chilling. Every person inside of the school is identical twins to at least one of the CA3-06 team members. And also there's like way more of them. I don't see the team being more than like maybe like 5 or 6 people, but now there's an entire school filled with them. And still, there is no sign of the original CA3-05 team. The report says that communication between UIU personnel and the inhabitants of the school were thwarted by something within the school, but it's classified. We don't know what it is. I say that to say the UIU has no way of communicating with these things, at least not yet. 3 months later, the white noise returns again, once again centering around the school's auditorium. The UIU observes the inhabitants of the school now centering around a large hole that has formed in the wall that's blocking the auditorium. This hole is about 6 feet wide, and at 3:10 a.m. in the morning, unidentified objects begin to emerge from this hole, to which one of the inhabitants pick it up and bring it into a classroom. And this continues for 8 hours. Strange objects emerging from this 6-foot wide hole in the wall that's blocking the auditorium, and individuals picking it up and bringing them either into a classroom or putting them into one of the lockers. And the individuals either seem to guard the objects or appear to be running tests on the objects. 2 days later, 2 armed guards appear at the entrance of the high school. And anyone who tries to enter the high school, and UIU personnel included, are killed by these 2 armed guards almost immediately. And look, right, I know the UIU isn't exactly elite, but you think an entire team of trained UIU agents can handle these 2 guards, but you would be completely wrong. The UIU gets their butts handed to them, which kind of shows that these 2 armed guards aren't exactly just any guards, right? Maybe there's something more. Maybe they're Foundation level personnel guards. The Foundation tends to put a lot of resources and emphasis into their security and their guards and stuff like that. So it's really no surprise to me that 2 Foundation level guards can absolutely just body a whole UIU team if they really wanted to. But here's the real kicker. Here's where it gets kind of crazy. If it hasn't been crazy already, here's where it gets even more crazy. The entities inside of the school begin to follow UIU protocol for handling anomalous objects almost perfectly. And their knowledge of UIU protocol is completely consistent with what the CA3-05 team would have known, which now suggests that the CA3-05 team has become something else, a splinter group, a new organization modeled after the UIU, but just better. Later on, 2 men, both identical to an Agent Dixon of CA3-06, are seen kidnapping a person identified to be CA6, someone believed to possess anomalous powers. They then take CA6 into the school and that person is never seen again. And just when you think things couldn't get any stranger, the UIU receives a Morse code message coming from within the school, signed by something calling itself the 05 Council. Sound familiar? I hope it does. Yep, that's the same 05 Council of the Foundation. It's heavily implied that the CA3-05 team is now calling themselves the 05 Council, and they are the ones behind the wall in the school's auditorium. Which makes me think that the auditorium is probably like the headquarters or something of the 05 Council. And I also want to mention the Morse code message that we can see within the report is not normal English. It's very broken English. I wouldn't say broken English, but it's like more like an alien's attempt on trying to communicate with somebody who knows English and they have no idea what they're saying. Like, I'm still not entirely sure what they're trying to say, but I think it's something along the lines of apologizing to the UIU for taking their team members and also saying that they're superior and that's why they, made a splinter organization from the UIU. They can just do whatever they do just better. So yeah, and also they talked about expanding the school. I don't know. It's really, I can't understand it. But yeah, normal suburban high school that completely changed overnight and was the very first Foundation containment site. That's peak SCP weirdness to me. I like it. Especially because, whatever it is, I guess had to take some of the UIU members to use as, a host or something like that. Because I don't think that the first team that the UIU sent into the building was just like, all right, now we're here, let's start making a splinter group of the UIU. I think whenever they went in there, something must have taken them and made them become the 05 Council of the Foundation, or make them create the Foundation. And with the constant changes to the building and the white noise, I think it's safe to say that the Foundation's very first containment site, facility, whatever you want to call it, will be expanding further. It's like the entire building is slowly but surely transforming itself. Moving on, we're going to jump right into the 10th SCP-001 proposal. Joric/Domatics 36. Codename Joric/Domatics 36. Item number SCP-001. Object class humanoid. Threat level green, circumstantial red. Containment class Euclid. SCP-001-36 describes a group of 36 separate individuals who possess the passive ability to nullify anomalous objects whenever they come near it. Their very existence seems to be enough to make reality-breaking entities and objects run away in fear. SCPs just straight up stop working near them. This effect happens instantly and without any effort on their part. They just walk into a room and bam, everything in that room is now nerfed. And when more of the 36 are together, their nullifying range expands significantly. A group of these people can completely shut down multiple SCPs at once without even noticing that the SCPs are there. So they can be like in another room and just completely Randy Orton an SCP in the next room.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Each member of the 36 seem to have an instinctive awareness of the others, but only vague information. For example, they know how many total members there are of the 36, which is how we know that there are 36 members. I think the Foundation only knows like 14 of them, but yeah, there are 36 of them from information that they were able to gather from, I guess, some of the members. And they usually know about 1 in every 3 members of the group. It's like a weird built-in social network, but at the same time, the information that they possess on each other is very limited. Now, here's the kicker. Here's where it gets dangerous with them. If even 1 member of the 36 dies, then a large quantity of SCPs will manifest randomly. We're talking a mass spontaneous manifestation of SCP entities and reality warping events on a scale that the Foundation can't even seem to contain. And this seems to happen instantly. Right after one of the 36 died, just SCPs everywhere. We can find incident reports later on in the 001 report that detail exactly this. One of the 36 dying and just a crap ton of anomalies spawning out of nowhere. And similar to most SCPs, the things that spawn are incredibly weird and terrifying to think about. A couple of examples of these anomalies are 8-winged entity with avian and cephalopodian traits, measuring 70 meters in wingspan and 45 meters tall, would manifest swarms of entities outwardly similar to crows or ravens, measuring approximately 3 meters in length. Dude, okay, so just imagine like a god-sized creature with 8 massive black wings sprouting out the back of it, and the build of a bird/octopus. That's currently what we're looking at right now, is that. Another one of my personal favorites is this one. A series of 109 great cubic... whatever that word is, it's this, okay? Measuring approximately a meter in width. Air temperature in a radius of 20 meters of the object would rise to over 250 degrees Celsius. Affected areas would immediately cool after exiting the area of effect. Objects were capable of flight at approximately 25 kilometers an hour. So imagine these are the size of beach balls and are just flying around, literally igniting/melting/boiling anything that is in a 20-meter radius of it. All 109 of these things. And to top it all off, there was also a flash flood that contained 2% chocolate milk, crude oil, chicken broth, and rabbit feces. Hell yeah. Members of the 36 say that when one of them dies, the deceased individual lets things through, and that's why SCPs manifest randomly. And they warn that the more of them die, the worse these events will become. They also claim that when one of them dies, a new member is born somewhere in the world. A baby with the same powers as the 36. But so far, no newborns have been confirmed to replace the 2 that have already fallen. Speaking of the members that they know of, I know I already said something on this, but the Foundation only knows of 14 of these members, with half of them not even being contained by the Foundation and 2 of them being dead. The only reason that the Foundation knows that there are 36 individuals is, like I said before, they know the amount of members that there are. They just don't have a lot of information on them. And the backstory of these guys are pretty cool, honestly. The Foundation first encountered members 001-01 through 001-05 during an investigation into miracles that were happening in Jerusalem. 001-01 through 001-05 is just the designation that the Foundation gave the first 5 members that they found of the 36. We don't get exact details of this event, but considering that these 5 are the first recorded members of the 36, it's not hard to imagine some divine tier hoopla is going on in Jerusalem at the time or something like that. All 5 were being protected by 3 individuals that are heavily implied to be tied to the Horizon Initiative. The Horizon Initiative is basically the Foundation, but make it religious. When the Foundation attempted to recover these 5 individuals, a firefight broke out between the HMF SCP, which is basically the Foundation, or make it British or something like that, a precursor of the Foundation. And during this fight, the 3 guardians of the 5 individuals fled, which is how the Foundation got their hands on the first 5 of the 36. And from here, the SCP file is filled with logs, interviews, leaked documents that give us a better picture of who these people really are and what they might represent. And honestly, I think this is where the report shines the most. In one interview with the 5th member of the 36, the subject says, "The world is broken, Doctor, and my brothers and sisters are here to heal it, to gather people together and prepare for what is to come." Later, we get a document written by somebody that is within the leadership of the Horizon Initiative. It's addressed to the SCP Foundation, and it's like a warning or a plea or something like that. They write, "How do you explain to someone that the world is dying, and that only they may save it? The items and phenomena that you keep hidden from the world are not diseases. They are symptoms. And you are not keeping the world healthy by masking them when the underlying condition is ignored. The problem is that the condition is chronic. The world is simply old. And 36, they might make it young again." This SCP is absolutely packed with world building and mystery. It's not just about people with cool powers. It's a cosmic balancing act that takes place in a world that's old and broken. And the 36 is a hint that maybe, just maybe, someone out there is trying to fix it instead of just containing the problem. And that someone might be these 36 individuals. And honestly, I don't think these people are just people. They can't be. Like, yeah, dude, obviously, right? Like, they can completely nullify insane reality-bending SCPs just by standing near it. And that alone is insane, I will admit. But it's how these individuals interact with other SCPs that make me say this. Buried in the reports are a bunch of test logs from the Foundation, where they brought in other anomalies to observe how they would react to one of the 36 individuals. And in almost every single case, the SCP not only notices them, but seems to recognize them too. Like, straight up acts like they've been expecting them. Like, "What's up, dude? How you been? Where have you been?" No surprise, no confusion, just an eerie familiarity. As if they've met someone they've known before, someone that they've always known was coming. The best way I could explain it without spiraling into like a rant that's gonna take 30 minutes is, imagine what it could be like if you could talk to death. You wouldn't be like, "Who are you?" You would just know. It would feel inevitable. And that's the vibe I get here whenever I read these test logs. And dude, honestly, it fits. These individuals can strip anomalies of their power, reduce some of the weirdest, dangerous entities in the Foundation to complete non-threats. That's not just power, that's something different. It's less like killing them and more like causing an existential ego death. Like, SCP's whole anomalous presence and identity gets changed just by being near some of these people. Imagine you had this crazy power to just flay the skin of any human that you dislike for your whole life. And then, bam, just out of nowhere, some random dude walks into the room and is like, "Yeah, your time's up, buckaroo. It's over for you." And like, now you just can't flay the skin of anybody that you want to anymore. Now your whole ego is gone. You're like, what? Your identity, that's what you identified as, and now it's just gone. Whatever these 36 are, they're more than human. They seem to be like the world's failsafe. And slowly but surely, these guys are becoming one of my favorites. I say that with every single one. All of these they're so good. There's some of them that aren't that good, but most of them, the overwhelming majority of them, are fantastic. Now we're going to move into the 11th SCP-001 proposal. DJ Cactus / Twisted Gears proposal, Ouroboros. Now, this one is incredibly long and there's no way I fit the entire thing into this video. No shot. I'm currently working on a standalone video breaking down the entire Ouroboros cycle, background, story, all of it. It's just taking a little while to do. I should have it up sometime after this video is up. It's less of an SCP proposal and more of a full-fledged novel. So in this video, I'm just going to break it down a little bit, kind of what it stands for. I'm not going to spoil anything. That's for the standalone video. SCP-001, the Ouroboros cycle, is a series of interconnected stories that deal with the death and the rebirth of universes, basically a cosmic loop. The main point of the Ouroboros cycle is to show that the multiverse has gone through and will continue to go through repeated apocalyptic resets, with each cycle ending in total destruction followed by a new beginning. More often than not, the Foundation's role in these resets and new beginnings are ambiguous. Sometimes they're observers who can't really do anything, and sometimes they're boots on the ground agents that are trying to save their universe. And I'm gonna be honest, that's all you're gonna get from me with this proposal in this video. There is an entire saga around this one SCP-001 proposal, and I don't want to spoil any of it. The standalone video will be breaking down every story and piece of information that we get, but there will be timestamps in the description and stuff like that that will bring you straight to the summary of each 001 proposal if you're not really into all of the background, you just want to know about the proposals. So if you're going to go to that video from this video, just know that there are timestamps that you can skip to that will just tell you the summary and skip all of the background information that I spent so hard compiling. It's okay. I'm not mad. I know that may be a little inconvenient, not including all of that into this video. Shut up. It's my first time doing this. Leave me alone. Moving on to the 12th SCP-001 proposal. We have Kate McTriss's proposal, a record. Codename, Kate McTirris, a record. Item number, SCP-001. Object class, Thaumiel. Right from the jump, this one stands out as incredibly strange. This proposal is not a physical entity or object, but rather the Foundation's own database page for SCP-001. According to the O5 Council, any changes made to this page, the SCP-001 report, becomes objectively true in reality. Basically, any edits that are made to the page that we are looking at right now can literally change reality itself. And because of this, the Foundation has locked edits on this page. Edits can only be made by O5 members if they hold this special private key. Any modifications to this page can be potentially infinite and catastrophic, and are Category Aleph Rum, which is a designation given to anomalies that are of the highest level reality threats. And as we scroll deeper into this report, we actually get a pleasant surprise, our very first joke SCPs, if that's what you want to call this. So at the end of the SCP description, there are 9 different collapsible sections that we can open and read. And once we click into the first section, we can actually read a different SCP-001 report. This proposal is a vinyl record from 1958 titled Exploring New Sounds in Stereo. And the anomalous property of it is odd. All it really does is mess with digital lists. Whenever it's included in a list of items on a computer or a digital source, it forces itself to the top of the list, always at number 1. And as we read through the collapsible sections, we begin to see a series of changes made to this report by someone named Dr. Mary Nakayama. She was the lead researcher on this SCP at the time. These collapsible sections show her slowly realizing that any change she makes to the SCP-001 report of the vinyl not only changes the document, but also changes reality. She begins small with the first section and just updates a typo. In the second section, she adds in a joke in the special containment procedures. She says that all level 2 researchers in Site 19 shall give her $5 on her lunch break on April 1st, which happens. And at this point, she begins to realize quickly that something's up. In the next section, she adds in that the nameplate that is on her desk is colored green for easy identification, which happens. She then gave herself vacation days in the next section and a promotion, which, of course, happens. Until she finally writes, Mary Nakayama, immediately after the saving of this document, will attain omnipotence and omniscience, rising to and becoming a godhead. And just like that, she vanishes. Reality now bends to her will. She is now something more. She leaves behind a message to the 05 Council and her family. And this message is in the last collapsible section that we can read. And I'm going to read it out because I like it. To the 05 Council. When I was 15, I took enough pills to kill someone 4 times my size. Down with an entire bottle of cheap vodka. That was the only thing I had left from the man who used me and left me broken and alone. I sat in my shower with hot water scalding me. I closed my eyes. When I opened them, I was dry. I was well. I was in bed. At the door, a shining figure, a radiant light hovered. It spoke to me with a voice that echoed in my mind only. It said I had greater things to do. I never saw it again, but I kept going. I believed that God descended and saved me. And, joining the Foundation, how could I not believe? What else could explain the fact that we were still here, still marvelously, desperately, screamingly alive? How else could the fabric of our world, our everything, withstand such things that we behold every day? Something was protecting us. I prayed to it every night for guidance. I never heard his voice again. I was touched by God once, and that was a lifetime of fortune in one moment. But when I changed the color of the nameplate on my desk just by hitting save on a text file, I realized something. The fabric of all things was open to me. I could put this power away, show you, conceal it, but what if this was what saved me? What if this is what saves us all, every day, from the abyssal terrors that rip and rend at our world's fragile stability? What if me hitting save on a text file was the birth of God? If it's not, then I tried. If it is, then I am watching. I will try to steer things right. It will take time. Wish me luck. MN. So basically, a researcher by the name of Mary Nakayama is doing research on a vinyl recording record. This record takes the first spot of any list that it is put on as long as that list is on some sort of digital device or a computer. After adding in a little joke on the report that her coworkers owe her $5 during lunchtime at a specific date, sparks of realization began to occur that showed her that whatever is written in the report becomes real. She then tested this and said the nameplate on her desk will be green for easier identification, which it did. And at the end, she decides to become God. And now, this 001 proposal remains dormant, as the 05 Council does not want anyone else rising to godhood, which is completely understandable. I would like to note that it doesn't seem like the vinyl record itself has anything to do with this. Like, the changing the world aspect. I think it's the actual SCP-001 spot in the database of the Foundation that's anomalous. In other words, it doesn't matter what SCP is SCP-001, because the actual report is anomalous and changes the world, not the item. And now we're going to move into the final SCP-001 proposal of this video, and that's Wrong's SCP-001 proposal, the Consensus. Codename Wrong. The Consensus. Item number SCP-001. Object class Euclid. Clearance designation Level 5. The Consensus refers to a CK-class restructuring event scenario that has already occurred. This means that an earlier version of reality was erased entirely and replaced with the current one. Apparently, this event occurred in June 1st, 1900. But no one remembers it happening except for 13 people who have what the Foundation calls partial SCP-001 immunity. I don't know why I find the things that I find funny. It's just a stupid name. Like, I don't know. This partial SCP-001 immunity lets them somehow remember the previous version of reality. And for some reason, the Foundation was just like, okay, who cares? Because the Foundation decided not to investigate this partial SCP-001 immunity any further than what we know right now, which isn't like the Foundation. Typically, whenever they see someone or something anomalous or weird, they investigate it, but I guess in this situation, they just didn't want to. But the report made it incredibly clear that these 13 individuals will not be assessed any further. So we have just like 13 people who remember the end of the world getting rewritten, which is crazy. In the report, we learned that a massive event called Occult War I, or 1, I don't know, occurred in a previous reality. But now, every reference, cause, and memory of that war has been completely scrubbed from reality and has been replaced with altered versions that fit the world that we live in now. Most of these events that were replaced with similar but less anomalous events. Things that you would read in your 7th grade history book and wouldn't think twice about. For example, what we know as the Boxer Rebellion, where all of the peasants rebelled against the Qing dynasty, was actually called the Fifth Occult War, which involved major conflicts in Europe, Asia, and America, and all of whom were heavily reliant on anomalous weaponry. Our version scrubbed away all of that anomalous weaponry and the major conflicts in other parts of the world. Another example is during the Civil War, when the Confederacy and the Union were both supplied by an organization known as the Factory. The Factory mentioned, of course it was the Factory. I knew it all along. The Civil War ended up spreading across Central America, but according to our current timeline, none of this happened. This was just a normal civil war. And apparently, I promise this is the last one, there was a systematic slaughter of about 150,000 Mongols caused by a Dvaiti Thrall. Dvaiti is like a made-up race in the Foundation lore specifically for this proposal. But this Thrall used twin blades to kill 150,000 Mongols, and this was completely scrubbed from the timeline and replaced with nothing. I think that's cool. I don't know. I thought that was pretty neat. I don't know. I just think of like a single twin blade wielding slave that just was able to slaughter thousands and thousands of Mongols. It sounds pretty cool to me. There are many more events listed, but this is just some of them. If you really are curious, I recommend going to go check it out yourself. I'm pretty sure the Foundation got this information from the 13 individuals, but no real information was given on them, so it's hard to say for certain. And due to the nature of this SCP, the Foundation has no real way of containing it, nor do they have any way of preventing it. They really don't have any knowledge on it at all. This is why the only containment method in place for this SCP is a reactive protocol called the Forbidden City Convention. I love that name. Forbidden City Convention. That's such a cool name. Such a cool name for something that's probably so stupid. Forbidden City Convention. Dude, that sounds like something horrible has happened in that city, and I'd love to know about it. This convention was established in 1901, a year after the restructuring, and lays out steps to prevent the same conditions from happening again, and also gives the Foundation strict rules for how to stay unified if reality were to rewrite itself again. As we read further into the report, we actually get chapters from the Forbidden City Convention itself. Chapter 1 is all about the Foundation's precursor organizations and lists the 13 groups that joined together to create the SCP Foundation. Chapter 2 details the 05 Council and how each precursor group is to contribute one representative, specifically chosen because they were in leadership roles or they knew something or remembered something from the First Occult War. Chapter 3 talks about groups of interest. You see, some groups didn't want to join the SCP Foundation, or they weren't invited to join the Foundation. And the Foundation's response to this is simply to either A, terminate them, or B, force them to join them. Force them to join the Foundation. And these are the only chapters that we get from the Forbidden City Convention. This is the Foundation's version of how to create the Foundation for Dummies. The rest of the report are just a series of personal notes from the original 1305 council members to their successors, if they were to die or be replaced at any time. I'm not gonna talk about them because they don't really add much to the SCP-001 proposal itself. They honestly just humanize the 05 Council, which I'm not a fan of. I think they're like aliens. I don't think that they're normal humans. So, like, whenever an SCP tries to humanize the 05 Council in a certain type of way, it just rubs me wrong. But other than that, stand-up proposal, I like it. If I were to read the personal notes, it would be clear that the Foundation wasn't born out of pure science or heroism, but was born out of doubt, fear, guilt, and some ambition. Some people believed in what they were building. Many didn't. But all of them shaped the Foundation that we see today. And with that being said, I think this is a good stopping point for sections 2 and 3. Like I said in the Ouroboros entry, I'm working on a standalone video for that frickin' novel that we call the Ouroboros Cycle, and it should be done by the time this video drops. The next video is going to be extra long because section 4 only has like 3 proposals and section 5 has 14 of them. So, yeah, got something to look forward to in the future, I guess. And with that being said, thank you all for watching.